Hi, everyone. Welcome to TJF Tidbits. Today we are speaking with Trevor of Innovative Home Inspections. He does home inspections in DC and Maryland area, soon to be also going into Virginia. He will be talking about the shifting market and how it's affected the home inspection process and other details and what to look for during a home inspection. Thanks for stopping by and enjoy. Thank you. How are you?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Pretty good, thanks. I guess what we can talk about, Trevor, is the market and how it has affected home inspections and where is it now with the shifting market and where do you see home inspection going in the future?
Gotcha. So it's the past year or so has been very interesting. Um, when of course the COVID crisis hit, everyone started to buy houses, and at first the business was great. There was an influx of buyers in the market, but as it became more competitive, when started to have 15 to 20 offers per home, we noticed that buyers had to become more competitive to win offers. Therefore, they started to waive the home inspection contingencies. And in doing so, it put us in a position to where, of course, our business went, plummeted. The shift in the market for us was when we began to understand that, buyers still want to know what they're buying. And that's very, very important to them. So what we did was started to offer walk-in talk inspections.
Yeah, and
Where,
we did a couple of those, I think, with you. Not a couple, but several where,
hmm
if the buyers knew that was the house they wanted to buy,
hmm
and you were very accommodating with a very tight schedule and made it work within 24 hours, and some of them weren't even there, right? That we would have to FaceTime them, virtually
Yeah,
do it. Yeah, just to make it work. So,
definitely, definitely. Yeah, that was very interesting. We definitely knocked out quite a few, and they didn't. The great part about it for the buyers is that they did not miss a beat. They still had a full understanding of what they were buying. We did a full comprehensive, as you saw, we still did a full comprehensive inspection on all the properties. We just had to, compromise with the market on having that home inspection contingency in place, of course. But as COVID has started to, I guess the number started to decrease, and then the amount of offers per house that we're actually at that funny transition in the market right now. From my perspective in the industry, we're not getting 15 to 20 offers per house anymore. It's starting to normalize because of the interest rates has increased. Therefore, everything is starting to pick back up as far as the amount of inspections that people are requesting. They're not having to weigh the home inspection contingency on a regular basis now. So when the market went crazy, we shifted to walk and talk inspections, but now we're starting to see things start to normalize out. As far as the future holds, my prediction is that we get out of the crazy part of the market, and
yeah.
then everything is starting to go back to normal. Um, People have to adjust to the new interest rates, but people are still buying homes. And in fact, this month alone was the most inspections my company has ever done, in a 10-year of 6, 7 years. So, the business is starting to, normalize. And I think that it's going to go back to normal as far as the home inspection aspect of it, where people are able to get homes inspected. And going forward, worst case scenario, what I see may happening is as the interest rate starts to decrease, there may be another scare in high demand. We have to hurry up and buy houses. And worst case scenario, we'll start to have to go back to those walk and talk inspections.
I personally like the walk and talk inspections. I prefer that because it's just so much quicker. Um,
Exactly.
but I don't think my perspective. I don't think the walk and talk will go away. I think people will just. I think they'll know that that's an option and
Mm-hmm.
potentially go that route because walk and talks are a little bit less expensive than the full on home inspection where you get the report versus you don't get a report with the walk and talk. So I think both options are great. Obviously, if you're someone who wants to dot your I's and cross your T's, the full inspection is the way to go. But for people who just want to make sure things are working, the walk and talk, I think, is a brilliant idea. And then you are licensed in Maryland and DC, correct? Do you see anything in Virginia for you in the future? And what else does your company do outside of home inspections?
Definitely. We're definitely branching out. Virginia, Delaware, and Pennsylvania are our next stops. Of course, Virginia being the next one. We'll be up and running in Virginia in 2 months or less. As far as other services we offer is radon, termite inspections. We're also going to be offering termite treatment soon as well. Then as far we have a lot of plans, a lot of great things happening. Innovative home inspections. We also are getting into well and septic inspections, mold inspections, pool inspections. That's a little further down the list, but it is on the list.
Yeah, because there's some houses where we are doing like home inspection with one person, well and septic with another person, pool with another person. So it's always good to just have it as a one-stop shop. Now you talked about radon real just lightly, but let's talk about that for a second here. A lot of folks that come in to the area that don't really know this area are not familiar with radon. So why don't we explain what that is and where it comes from and how it's remediated?
Got it. So radon is a odorless, tasteless natural gas that emits from the ground all the time naturally. The issue is when you put a structure over that ground, the radon gases can get caught in the house. The reason why that's the issue is, of course, over time, it's not an immediate thing, but over time, radon can cause a lot of health issues. With at the top being is lung cancer. It's actually the number 2 leading cause of lung cancer.
What's the number 1? Smoking?
Yes, of course. Smoking.
And then radon?
And
wow,
then
that's
radon.
crazy.
Right? Exactly. So,
Okay.
but nevertheless, when people do become informed about radon, a lot of people get nervous, especially if you. I think we had a situation to where one of your buyers was purchasing a property, and then they spoke with the neighbor, and he was like, "Oh, I have crazy high radon levels." Right? Do you remember that one?
No.
But nevertheless, they got scared, and all because even if you do have radon in the house, there's a certain number it has to be below. If it is over that number, which is a very conservative number, so be 4.0. There's ways to mitigate. So you do radon mitigation to get that, make sure that the radon can be funneled into a direction, and then of course released in the atmosphere. But yeah, so that's pretty much radon in a nutshell.
And then after the remediation system is placed, well, I don't know, another party has to retest it, or can you retest it again?
I can retest it again.
So is it a conflict of interest for someone to test a property for radon and then also remediate it?
So that's a great question. There is some practical gray area in there, but the way that we have to measure to determine whether there are high levels of radon in the house or not is bulletproof. Like there's no room for interpretation, right? So, for example, it's crazy. I actually have a radon test here. I'll show you. So, this kit here.
Yeah, why don't you show everyone the kit what it looks like?
This is a radon test. Okay.
Yeah.
It has this perforated area here. So it's like a filter. It collects air particles in the air, which after 48 hours, it can determine whether the levels of radon are high. We have to plug this up in it and have it sent off to the lab, right? With doing that, it's kind of hard to be open for interpretation. It's either above or below, right? So, and it's not like a home inspection where certain things can be open to interpretation as far as what needs to be fixed now or later, because of course the home inspector cannot be a contractor, right? And an inspector can say, oh, you need to replace all of your plumbing. And by the way, I can change all of your plumbing. With radon tests, it's a little bit different. I don't know many home inspectors who are licensed to administer radon tests doing radon remediation, but nevertheless, in my opinion, I will have to do some more research on it. I don't see why it would be a major conflict.
Okay. And then lastly, this is always a fun part. What are the top, let's just say three, what are the top three things in a home that you as a home inspector immediately go to when you're doing a home inspection, where you're like, if there's only three things you need to inspect, what are those top three things and why?
Structure, plumbing, electrical. Those
Okay.
are my top three in that order. Why? Of course, structure is the typically the highest cost item to have repaired if there are structural issues. Whether it's from the excavation around the foundation or replacement of sections, it is one of the most critical, if not the most critical, component of a property. Following that, plumbing. The reason why plumbing is my number two is common, especially with homes built prior to like the 80s. There's certain types of plumbing can lead to structural damage, and of course leads to things of that nature. And depending
like
on
polybutylene pipes.
Exactly, like polybutylene pipes, which are known to crack at the joints and cause significant floods. And then, of course, when it comes to another aspect of plumbing, it's not just about changing the pipes. You have to get to the pipes, change the pipes, and then repair the areas, whether that's excavating to the main drain line or opening up walls and floors to replace those damaged areas. And then right after that, electrical, for the most obvious reasons of safety hazards, whether it's a shock or a fire hazard. But a very common problem in our area with homes built in the 80s and 90s there are a lot of electrical panels that are either one, outdated, or two, not wired correctly. So as a homeowner, as a potential homeowner, you go to the house and you see the lights are on, everything seems fine. But when you move in and you're cooking and you have the TVs on and plugging up the iron, and maybe you want to do upgrades in the house later on, that's when you start to see all the electrical issues that arise. So those would be my top three in that order.
All right. Now, anything else you want to add before we end our little Zoom?
I think we covered all the basics.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Trevor.
No problem at all.
Enjoy the rest of your day with your home inspections.
Thank you. About to get it back in the field right now.
Okay. Bye.
All right. You have a nice one.
You too. Bye.